Next.
Good morning all. Today I am here to share some of my knowledge, what I know, and at the same time I am here to learn from you also, from your expertise. So no one knows everything, so that's my. And here, okay, so today we will be discussing about future-proofing model, okay, the software architecture, okay, the how to build it. And anyway, there is no end for this. Every day new technologies are coming. So we can't say, okay, so this is the end, okay, so modern software architecture. It's like we have to learn, leverage, and okay, so that is the principle which we need to apply here. Now, this is a simple agenda, okay, so I created. We will be understanding what is software architecture and why future proofing is required. And okay, so how to adopt the okay, so cloud native, and okay, so AI in okay, so modern okay, software architecture, how it is useful, and security and resilient okay, so applications and architecture, okay, the how to build. Any questions on also? So this is. Let me introduce myself. Myself Venkat. I'm a corporate trainer. Okay, so. I do have total 20+ years of experience in the industry. More than experience, what we know, okay, so that matters. I can compare the okay, so experience. So what subject, okay, so we know that matters. And here, okay, so whatever the technologies I have mentioned, okay, so all the trainings I have delivered for beginners to okay, so seniors as well. And okay, so all these okay, so companies, okay, so top MNC companies which I have mentioned here, in all the companies I have delivered to okay, the seniors. And I okay, so achieved okay, so this position. It's been 20 years. I wake up at 3 a.m. and I study. This is my lifestyle. So that is how you can see okay, so this many technologies in my plate. Okay, and okay, so additionally, okay, so there is a God-gifted knowledge of okay, ancient Ayurveda songs, so the things I do as a service. And here, let's okay, so move to the okay, so technical things. Okay. So what exactly is a software okay, so architecture in general? And okay, so when we come to okay, architecture, what comes in our mind? When I'm asking, what comes in our mind? Okay, so whenever okay, so we talk about okay, so architecture generally.
Breaking down the complex problem and figuring out what way really works to achieve your the final solution.
Right. Okay, so the problem statement and how do we okay, solve that? And okay, so apart from that, like, for any okay, the software architecture, what comes like as scalability? How do we scale for okay, so any system? And okay, so efficiency and also maintainability and okay, so automation. There are many things okay, so comes into okay. Fine. In generally, okay, so if you talk about okay, so any software architecture, we talk about the components and how do they connect, okay, how do they interact, how can we make them okay, the secure. Okay, so these are the basic parts okay, which comes into the software architecture, and that is where like the structure, application structure or components or the interaction between the components. So that is where okay, so we need to okay, so look at it. And now here all the industries. Okay, we are facing the issues for okay, so manageability and okay, the security challenges are still there. Okay, so even if you are adopting okay, so today's technology, still security issues okay, so that are there. So that right. And first of all, why okay, so this matters? Software architecture, why this matters generally? Whenever okay, so any business okay, so comes to you. Here, one is the business goal you need to achieve, and okay, once architecture is properly built, then that helps the developers to okay, so deal it smoothly and implement okay, so them smoothly. Am I right? So here, developers can work efficiently with the okay, so modern software architecture. How to achieve that? Okay, so that is okay, so we will address that point as well. And any system okay, so we take okay, so that has to be handy on the higher loads. So these things okay, so we need to okay, so keep in our mind. Okay. system that should not go into the disaster, and it should be okay, so alive. Then now, here in the modern industry, okay, so now all of us okay, so web application, web design, mobile applications. Have you heard about the spatial UI? Spatial UI. Couple of you might have heard about that. So by using the okay, so VR and AR, nowadays even Amazon also. So with augmented reality, we can see the device in our place. Okay. So and how to okay, so move them, how to use that. As a user, when you are clicking on a button, okay, so on the website, in the same way, how are you handling that? Okay, the spatial UI. So for that, yes, okay, so we need okay, so powerful okay, the servers. Okay, so the 3D okay, so data process. Obviously, and okay, so jewelry websites also, if you see that, like okay, so where are like a canary website, if you see, and okay, so whatever the jewel, if you see that, you can okay, the see on our okay, so board, how okay, so it is fitting to you. That is all. So all that then, okay, the spatial one. Okay, we are talking about the industry, okay, so evaluation, and then microservices architecture. Okay, so all of you might have aware of microservices architecture and the complexity and the data, okay, so which is growing every day. So that okay, so we know. So then, yeah, and how do we okay, so architect them, the communication and over the protocols, okay, the how to build the okay, and yeah, coming back to the artificial intelligence. Here, what is the challenge? Huge data processing. Okay, so and okay, so AI data drift. Okay, so management. There are a lot of things to okay, so talk about that. In order to handle all these okay, so data and evaluate them, so we need okay, so powerful systems nowadays. IoT cloud, like okay, so edge devices. I hope many of you might have heard about Kubernetes, okay, so edge computing. If anybody has any questions on any point, okay, so you can share.
Is the volume okay? Are you guys able to hear? Or should we use another mic?
That's fine. This is fine. Right. Like okay, so IoT client. And okay, they're handling the huge data processing. And okay, so testing all the data. Okay, so that is a challenge here. And okay, so even for okay, so gaming also. Okay, so we need to handle okay, so huge data and security. Okay, so both okay, so matter security. And yeah, the same way okay, so which is the security. In order to handle okay, so all these okay, the huge data processing okay, so in the industry and also to maintain the security and the scalability. So we need okay, the future proofing okay, the software architecture. Anyway, this is not the end. Okay, so as I said, okay, so here. So future proofing architecture, it is a simple one. Okay, so which we talk. Okay, so in the beginning, a system whenever you build. Okay, so and any architecture which you build. Okay, so that should be scalable, and you should be able to okay, so adopt the okay, so latest okay, so technologies. For example, okay, so if I build okay, so any monolithic application, now you can't scale that okay, so with any okay, so modern technology. So then, just giving an example. Okay, so if you are building with okay, so microservices architecture, obviously okay, so we can scale into, we can add okay, so more technologies and also languages and more features also, and you can scale your okay, so application. So that is. And many okay, so technologies are like okay, so AI and blockchain. I know you know all of are familiar with the blockchain and all, where hackers use this okay, so mostly for okay, pirated like okay, so movie rules, so and so. So like future proofing software okay, so asset, like you should be able to adopt the new technology and okay, so adopt the new architecture also if anything okay, so comes. And you should okay, so you should be able to okay, so automate. Most okay, so automation okay, so we need to okay, so bring into the. I will share all these slides. Okay, no worry. Need of future proofing okay, so we already discussed okay, so a system should be scalable, handle security and developers okay, developer friendly and operation friendly as well. So that is how. Thank you. This is what okay, so I was talking. architecture which can be scalable and okay, the secure, okay, so adaptive. But because even if you are building, okay, so modern architecture, so you can't, okay, so dynamically scale automatically, okay, so we need to work on that. And there are so many unforeseen, okay, the issues, okay, so that comes.
This is also applicable for humans, I mean for us.
All these, okay, so terminologies and technologies comes from, okay, so our experience only. The life, okay, so we are applying. See, for example, agile project methodology, if you take, if you are going for any travel or journey, you plan everything, right? Okay, so where to go, what is the budget, okay, how to plan everything. The same thing only in agile project methodology, and generally, okay, so correlating. That is how, whatever the technology you are learning, you are simply correlating with your, okay, so life. That becomes easy, and you can understand and you can learn. That is how I learned, okay, so all these things. I was a dumb when I was learning. 3 years it took for me to, okay, so understand the things, but after that, yes, I worked on, okay, so 20 plus databases and most of the, okay, so backend technologies, okay, like, okay, so Java, .NET, Go, Kotlin, okay, so many of the languages, okay, so I worked and I implemented, okay, so advanced level. Key challenges. There are so many challenges that we will talk about that. Okay. So now we are trying to understand the, okay, so industry challenges. One is the scalability. How do we achieve the scalability generally?
Maybe we can keep the another instance of application in different region, group the balance.
Right.
You
And
can
also,
scale services independently or probably have multiple instances separated using a load balance, and we can, direct the traffic, distribute the traffic.
Yeah, distributed systems and microservices and cloud native terminologies. Okay, so where you can deploy scalable and okay, like the fault tolerant applications you can simply manage on cloud native. So that is what, okay, so cloud native, okay, so is.
Yes, say for example, initially you started up a company, there your load is only 100 users per day. But tomorrow, after a few months, due to Christmas or a holiday season, it may jump to 1 million.
Exactly.
So your system should be able to handle the load. So to handle that load, if you are increasing the number of servers or if you're increasing your pods or containers to that extent, it should still be scalable to grow in large basis. So the initial architecture should be designed in such a way so that once it can take up the speed.
Right, like big billion days, okay, so on. So we should be able to scale it. For that, okay, so before, okay, so big billion days, okay, so we do testing, right? Like by using the JMeter, or there are so many, okay, so tools are there. By using that, we do the load testing. Because we are making your system ready, and okay, so it is tested, and okay, so it is ready. So that, okay, so if you are not testing, how can you, okay, so identify the, okay, so issues, okay, so in the early stages, if it goes, okay, down, okay, so during the lifetime,
Check the
then
metrics
it's a
also.
lot of, okay, so business loss.
Check the metrics.
Exactly.
That's
So
also
that is the JMeter. Then there are many other, okay, so JMeter, and there are so many other. Yeah. To handle the, okay, so lot of data, not internet. Big data processing is there, and event-driven architecture. Okay, so edge computing. If any one of the concept, okay, so any point, if anybody has questions, okay, so you can stop me and ask. Anyway, I will be sharing the okay, so this data. And fine, coming back to this, okay, so AML integration into, okay, so your system, okay, so your application, okay, so that matters. I hope all of you know, in AML there are so many layers of it. So from data to, okay, so AI. And security and compliance. So that is also one of the, okay, so most important things, okay, so in, okay, so architecture. Here, okay, so zero trust architecture. First point, okay, so if we talk about, if you have microservices, if you take just, okay, so 2 microservices, okay, you just, okay, so take an instance. One microservices need to talk to, okay, so another. Then, so both should not trust each other. Okay. So we have to build and okay, so configure, and there are so many okay, the technologies are there, like we can use the okay, so istio mesh kind of okay, so and then yes, okay, so end-to-end data encryption, okay, so that is also challenge. And now, okay, I have a question. For example, I need to host my application and my okay, so company data on AWS. So what exactly okay, so you look from okay, so AWS generally, whether okay, so they are following these okay, so GDPR laws. Okay, so there are many laws. What exactly is GDPR? Anybody? Data protection laws. Okay. Anyway, there are so many laws on that, and even for if you are handling okay, so payment gateways, okay, so then okay, so PCI DSS, okay, the scanning, okay, so it will be done like this, okay, so wherever you are hosting. So for example, AWS anyway we all know, okay, so AWS, GCP and Azure. But if you are going to host your data into okay, so private okay, the servers, okay, so any okay, so normal hostings, check whether are they following all these okay, so laws or not. Otherwise, they will not be as fun. So that is all. Specialized workloads in the sense we already talked about okay, so gaming, spatially by blockchain. In the Web3 technology, there are many are there. Maybe tomorrow they can introduce something new. We should be okay, so ready to adopt that. But if you know the foundation, the rest of the things are okay, so easy. I hope okay, so you are connecting the dots. Okay. Here. Fine. Now all the organizations are okay, so by using the AI, there are many ways. Okay. User behavior analysis. We monitor ahead. Okay, so like what is the user behavior? If multiple times login is there, right? Login tries are there. Okay, so they block the account in the backs. It's like a case of live. Okay, so user behavior and user authentication, access controls, and okay, so automated vulnerability detections and patchings. Okay, so that are there. And then yeah, like malware detections and there are many okay, so things are there. Okay, so and okay, so mail detection. How okay, so Gmail is okay, the filtering the okay, the fraud emails. Okay, so that there are many years okay, so AI we use that. So that slide is that we'll talk about. Cloud native. Okay, so we already talked about that. Okay, so if you want to okay, so build fault tolerant and okay, the scalable applications with the minimal okay, the configuration. Yes. Okay, so you can adopt these okay, so cloud native. Security resilience. Okay, so that these are the common challenges we see. I tried for cyber security as well. There are many aspects. We know like the common vulnerabilities. Okay, so top 25, OWASP. Okay, so top 10, and okay, so network security. There are many security. Okay, so infrastructure security. Okay, so many places. Okay, so we need to adopt that. Okay, so for that. Okay, so discuss about that, where you can position the security in your entire architectural pipeline, including the DevOps. And here, these okay, so compliance and regulations we already discussed. And this is one of the slides. We are not playing this. And Sundaram Pichai also okay, so attended in US court to explain about their okay, so Google features. When US High Court asked her, why are you tracking okay, so users?
So he asked us a simple question.
Right.
Does Google know you are here? Yes or no? Then
Yeah.
he said yes. He
Law
actually
is
didn't
like
say
that only, am I right? So
That's
they
the
don't
only
allow us
thing
to
we did
explain
Android
anything.
Yes.
You did or not?
Yes or no?
Why you did? That is like, what you did. Stop it.
Yes.
Otherwise it will be like, okay, divorce fight. Sorry. Fine. Now coming back to, okay, so your question, we are near to that. Like, we have to integrate the security. Okay, so in entire, okay, so application life cycle, and where you will be integrating into the CI/CD. During the code and during the build and during the test phases, there are many are there. Okay. And compliance and okay, so governance. Okay, so both okay, so we need to follow. Okay. And there are various okay, so types of the okay, so and RAST. You might have heard about that. Static application security question, where so in the early stages of your code, so you are testing. Like interactive so application security testing, and so different components are so communicating. So that is where so it is. And then here like a dynamic application security, like a pen testing. So various other things. So then here like RAST, runtime application security protection, is like so live protection of your application. These are the common things so which we follow, and we need to integrate this and we need to automate this. So in your so architecture, I mean it has to be so planned so in the early stages. And this website which I like to pick the tools and digital AI periodic table, you can just search this. Like based on the category, for example, security, this blue color, so you can focus on that. There are so many so tools which are there. And they used to update this table, so the modern tools, so which are popularly used in IT. See, like for so DevOps tool. Anyway, nowadays DevOps means it's everything. This is where, so how can we position the security in each and every stage? Like, once so your software architecture is ready and even threat modeling is also in place. In Agile project methodology, in the first phase itself, if we implement the threat modeling so properly, so then here, development time itself, you can detect the vulnerabilities in the tools. So for that IDE plugins, pre-commit tools are there, and third-party component scans also there. Like so if we are working on so React packages also you need to scan. That's a major challenge nowadays. So like there are many tools. So we talked about the Copilot, Code Whisperer, and Snake, and many so other which you can use during the development time. And so in the version control. In it also, you can so configure security scans, and if any secrets by mistakenly, so if you update that immediately, independent page will send the so mail to us. That's how in the version control also we need to position the security. Here also we can so add so AI tools. This is one, and here like a pre-built, a static. Sonar Cube is there, and there are many other commas. Forgot so a couple of tools. There are so many so tools are there. Check marks or something, and there are many which are there. That's one. And post build, like so dynamic testing, like so container and cloud security. There also we can use the Snyk for so cloud security, like a container scanning. Because after the build, so wherever we are, putting our containers, there also we can use container scanning. And in one of the projects I have used JFrog. There it is like JFrog. That is chargeable paid version, but so trial, so some JFrog. Even in Docker Hub also they used Snyk and some other. And there is one. And in the staging, like in manual, like QA. And testing, and also here. So AI. See everywhere. So you can use AI security tools and infrastructure, IAC. Like if you are using Terraform or so AWS. So templates. So if you are using whatever you are using. Infrastructure as a code. So there also by using the Snyk, and there are many so AI tools are there. By using that you can scan so your infrastructure as a code for the security so misconfigurations. So that so before you are creating your infrastructure itself, you are knowing so what vulnerabilities it may come. So whether it has the DDoS protection or not, everything. So for example, so like for production, so you know that like infrastructure infrastructure, live monitoring, there are cases which are being used are there. And the security monitoring, okay, so all that. Okay. So in cloud native, okay, there are many solutions which are there. Okay, so it monitors and okay, so it sends the immediate alerts and based on the specific conditions we give, it blocks the accounts and the transactions also immediately in certain use cases. This is how security you can position in every stage. Okay. And actually to teach this it takes 6 months. That much a big day. And you can use okay, so AI as well. Anyway, all tools okay, so now they are okay, so using the AI to production everywhere. So this is implementing the DevSecOps with the AI, okay, so in your software architecture. Okay, so that works. And here there are many okay, so AI real time okay, the issues of the detailed notes I will send. Okay, so you may okay, so use it. You can go through okay, so all these okay, so I don't know and read it kind of waste your time. No. Now, okay, so coming back to this user profile checklist, so when you are using AI integration, you may follow many of these okay, so checklist. It will be shared okay, the forever reference. And yeah, cloud native scalability, we all know, we discussed already Docker, Kubernetes, HPAVP, AKA, okay, so AWS Long browsing functions, auto scaling, and HTML for communication and security enabling. Okay, so those things. And for security best practices, many are there. Everyone. And recently, yeah, after AI evolved, okay, so recently. Firewalls also latest. There are so many. Okay, so latest firewalls. Okay, so has come. All the firewalls they are upgraded and already released the okay, so new versions with the more secure okay, the firewalls. Like the P5 some writings. Okay, so yeah, DevOps okay, so we already discussed and the compliance governance when you are following all the so like for example okay, so if you go back to this slide and whatever the test you have done, whatever the report is generated, okay, so that has to be, the report has to kept for auditing. Okay, so anyway, so that will be done by okay, the seniors. The report will be okay, so kept by okay, so auditing purpose. So that if anything goes wrong, okay, so you can submit to the portal. So like we followed everything, okay, so as per the norms, but still, okay, there's some security. That case is okay, so it is allowed. But if you are not following these standards, then you may be penalized. Okay, so you are wrong. So that is how. Okay, so I hope you got okay the some insights. Okay, so in the short any questions? Couple of
One question. In the slide you told like AI is preventing email phishing and DDoS attacks. So like this, so all of them AI is preventing you. But how it does that? Can you explain that? That is what we do.
AI does means okay, so we need to create the models. Okay, before AI also okay, so that manually okay, so we are okay, so you are checking. Okay, so but by using the AI also, we need to okay, so create the models and okay, so deploy into our application that monitors the okay, so activities based on the specific configurations okay, so we give and okay, filter out okay, so whether this email is okay, fraud or okay, so like if any email comes to you, so in that email if any okay, so data is there, files are there which okay, so AI feels that is not secure and based on some keywords okay, the 100% guarantee.
Even more clearer. So actually say for example, if you want to prevent DDoS in the current system, you have a rate limiter. So in the rate limiter in the gateway, what it does is, if a request comes beyond a threshold, you should stop it there. So you have multiple types of rate limiter.
Right.
So that you can put it in your gateway API layer. Similarly, for if you want to prevent for email phishing kind of things, you can write a security rule in the firewall rule itself, in the gateway itself, saying like if the source or the destination is from an unauthorized source, block it there itself. So these are the techniques which is followed now.
Right.
So if you say AI is going to
See,
do this,
AI
like how
going
does
to in
it
the
differ
sense,
from this one?
No, AI tools so by using the AI also, okay, so we can predict, okay, so that is nothing but, okay, so AI also uses this, okay, so configurations and rules only, am I right? Okay, so that, okay, so
may I answer this? So what it means here, what I understood, if we have, you said that we have the increase, where it is coming and where it is going. So we are telling that these are the items. But for example, if we have a functionality where emails come throughout the world, then how we will be able to verify that? We will not be able to put it on an API gateway. In that case, we can have a model that is trained along with the so many inputs or parameters, which is like how a phishing email looks like, how it looks like, and we integrate that. So before getting us those mail to us, what we will do, or we will fetch the email, we'll understand that what is going, and AI will predict, or maybe it will mark whether it's right or not.
questions.
So that's how I think.
All these questions you say like AI will do this. AI is doing this, but how it does that is the question. Like what it does, like how it does.
Yeah, kind of. We have to train the model, and we have to
From the data, they are into the model. Model it actually self-learning. That's called supervised learning.
Basically, it's a behavioral patterns which will identify and log the particular IP itself. Right? So AI is all about data feeds. Whatever you are telling, it will understand, analyze the pattern, and it will plot. That's models you have to train and then deploy.
Traditional graph and these things have a static role, right?
Yeah.
But I think future will be more AI-driven, where it can identify even more sophisticated attacks where you are saying a rule of 10 requests per second, but someone is below that, 8 requests per second, but he is still an attacker. How do you identify that? It comes from a browser that doesn't look like a genuine user browser. It comes from an IP which is of a data center IP. So these are all characteristics, right? Over the time, AI can learn all these things, and it can even make a better dynamic and smarter decisions. That's where the tools will, AI will enhance the existing tool set that we already have in the spectrum of.
Yeah, but currently do we have any tools? These are like
It comes in a lot of things, right? As simple as if you are into networking and all. If you want to identify something at a network packet level, tools like GPT and all, if you give a trace file, packet tracing file, it can identify anomalies in that. So someone has to be, people are keep building tools around these things. And your exact use case.
Say for this packet tracing, if you are in the terminal, you can use a packet tracer command. You give the packet tracer command and it will exactly specify like what is happening here. So that you do manually. So now when people say like it can be done in AI, it's more of a speculation like it can be done. But if you see any actual implementation there, I don't see many.
I actually made something like that. So the packet collection something about it. So there's a model called isolation first. It takes the source and destination and the packet information, and it identifies anomalies. Okay, based on the information that is there, and in that way we can actually identify if the request that is coming, we know the request or we don't know the request, right? So you can classify it as a threat or a non-threat if you want. And there are, a lot of other models.
Every company, if you see any service, SaaS product or anything, right? You see now they are saying we have integrated AI. So in some way they are enhancing their existing service to boost.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, I have to unfortunately stop this exciting session. Let's continue during the break. Okay. In short, however, Google detects your spam mail, it's similar, just different. It's just magic. That's serious. Alright, so we will break for coffee now. Unfortunately, today we only have one coffee machine, and we have, I think, about 90 people. So it will be a challenge. Let's do it like this. Half of you go to the restroom, and half of you